welcome to the 5th episode of the Bass Central podcast. We don't have a whole lot of new stuff to talk about. It's been freezing cold. We're still stuck inside. Pretty much the roads are uncovered by now, but a lot of our lakes are frozen still.
Yeah, most of them, except for one or two.
Yeah, I mean, Stockton, Pomme de Terre, Lake of the Ozarks are pretty much all the way covered, completely covered.
We're in Springfield, Missouri, and anything north is
Everything
solid
north.
ice.
Everything north.
Maybe
And
a few holes here and there, but
we saw on Facebook that there was how many inches on Lake of the Ozarks?
in the backs of the creeks, the big creek arms, anywhere from 5 to 8.
Yeah, and there was truck marks of people driving their trucks on the ice, and that's insane. I'm sure that's never happened here.
It hasn't happened for a long time.
No, it's crazy. But, Table Rock is clear and deep, so it hasn't really froze over like those other lakes. And I'm sure Bull Shoals the same. We haven't got to see Bull Shoals. And, I mean, people can't really see the lake as much as they can, Table Rock and whatnot.
The majority of the ramps are open. Some of the roads might be a little
I heard
sketchy
it.
getting down in them, but
I heard at Table Rock they were the state park ramp by the dam. They got completely cleared off and put rocks on the ramp, so it's easier to get up and out.
Video on Facebook a couple days ago where they were taking a big barge and busting ice up at the Cape Fair dock. So they're trying. They're trying to get us out there.
Yeah, and there was supposed to be the first Ozarks BFL this weekend on Table Rock, and they canceled it 2 days ago on Wednesday, I think. And it was probably for the best. I know that we were really excited to fish it. And, all the roads, it's Friday right now, and all the roads are clear. But, maybe some of them roads going down to the ramps might not be good. And, for people.
A lot of guys traveling in, probably, who knows what the roads look like away from here and people coming in.
So it's probably the best call that they canceled it, but it still would have been a good tournament, I think.
Yeah.
Still would have taken some decent weight because those fish are, especially because this ice, we're getting ready to be in March, but there's going to be some fat fish waiting.
Yeah, maybe not as much as previous tournaments this time of year, but maybe just not. Because people haven't been on the lake for 2 or 3 weeks and haven't been able to stay on these fish. But I'd say there's still been a couple big bags
probably
in.
Yeah, especially since the lake hasn't been fished in forever.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're itching to get out now, so we're going to talk about that a little bit more and how we think that the cold and the ice will and have affect the fish, and what we can do to catch fish. And we're going to kind of go through some of the college stuff that's going on because we actually had the first tournament of the year for college happen already. And you go back to the date on this. It happened on the Harris Chain February the 12th. And it was pretty insane what the weights were. First place was 31.11. Second place was 30 pounds. Third place was 27, 26, 21, 21. So that's probably one of the, if not the highest one-day weight in a college tournament that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
By far. And guys who won is Nicholas and Jacob from University of North Florida. So congratulations to those guys. But it looked like a slugfest out there. And there was, I'm still going down the list. 15 pounds was 29th place. So out of the times we've been there, there's a lot of fish to be caught. But, I think there must have just been a big wave up that guys were probably catching spawning fish, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's not like it was like 30 pounds to win and then nothing after that. These weights go down deep into the standings.
Yeah, sometimes you see, for example, Sam Rayburn, Mundy, this guy that's slayed the BFL and then won the Toyota Series right after, he caught some 10 and 13 pounders. And he really separated himself from the rest of the field, and that's what you get on these big fish lakes. But this one has a big one, names a lot of them. So
can you imagine weighing in 30 pounds and an ounce and not winning?
Yeah, or even 26, 27 pounds. You got to at least have a hope.
Yeah, that's unheard of around here.
I'd be very disappointed to come in with 30 pounds and not win.
Yeah.
But also, this isn't a college tournament, but Sloan Pennington, who's an angler at the University of North Alabama, I believe, isn't that right? He just got second in a Toyota Series on Lake Gunnersville, and he's won our collegiate points tournament of the year at Pickwick. I know we won a couple years ago, and I think he won one at Kentucky Lake that we had 2 years ago, and I was standing in line next to him and saw some of the fish he had, and dude, he had some giant smallmouth. There's some big smallmouth in Kentucky Lake, so
oh, yeah.
We're going to look that up real quick, actually. I want to see what the weight was on that. But he's a really good angler, and so it's cool to see him start to have some success in those pro levels.
45-14 over 2 days, and that was in 2019.
Oh, so he had 22 and 23 pounds back to back. And I saw the 23-pound bag, and dude, he had 3 smallmouth that were just enormous. So
and that was even a short day that day.
Yeah, we had
a half day because of the weather.
You got to fish till like noon or something.
Yeah,
because
the wind was at noon.
Because the wind got so terrible out there.
Run out there in half a day and catch that is pretty wild.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So congratulations to him as well. And college hasn't really got going yet. You know, we have our first tournament that I'm going to be fishing in on Grand Lake, not this next week, but the week after, the first week of March. And I'm really excited about that. And at the same time, there's going to be a Bassmaster Collegiate event, which he'll be going to at Lake Hartwell. It got moved from... Was Lake Norman. Now it's Lake Hartwell. And, you know, they're both blueback herring lakes and both have a lot of spotted bass and largemouth. But, you know, Hartwell's... There's a lot more to fish. Fish is really big. It's a huge lake. And deeper. I think it'll probably be a little tougher to win that tournament than it would be Norman, because the weights are going to be higher. It won't be as tough of a tournament. But I was looking forward to going last year in spring. It got canceled on us and got moved actually, and then we didn't get to go. But you're pretty excited about that one?
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
We've actually been doing lots of map studies and watching tournaments like I guarantee the whole rest of the field's doing. And, you know, we're kind of comparing them, you know, the past like classics, 2015, 2018 classics. And, you know, the 2015 classic happened almost 2 weeks before our tournament, the February 20th.
Oh, yeah.
And then the 2018 classic happened, you know,
a week and a half later.
A week and a half, 2 weeks after.
10 days.
So that was a deep versus shallow tournament, kind of. So I feel like that this tournament's going to be won around the dam general area, not up the rivers, fishing for, you know, those herring fish, whether it's largemouth and spotted bass. I really think that it'll be one with both fish being caught, but a majority of them being largemouth. And that's out deep in, you know, 20 to 40 foot of water probably.
Yeah. I think there'll be a lot of spotted bass bags weighed in, but to separate yourself, you're definitely going to need at least, you know, 2 or maybe 3 of those big largemouth.
Right. And that's not like, hey, we need to go do something different to catch largemouth this time of year. It can be, hey, we need to go... Time out. Back.
She literally just wanted to tell me that Lake of the Ozarks froze over. Really?
No, we weren't just talking about that or anything. But anyway,
I don't remember where we were.
Talking about Hartwell. But about how, like, you know, the largemouth and spotted bass are mixed in. And it's not like you go do something different to catch largemouth. You just might have to move to a different spot to try to find a school of largemouth. Because I think it'll be one on a school of largemouth, not picking them off one at a time or fishing down the bank or anything. I don't think this is going to be a bank one tournament by any means.
Oh no, I think it'll definitely be one out deep. Which I say that, and there'll be guys that catch them shallow for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could even catch, you know, largemouth and spotted bass out of the same school. It just kind of depends. Definitely going to need to find one of those bigger schools with bigger fish.
Right. And I mean, even Dean Rojas, the 2015 Classic, when it was in February, he had a big bag the first day around docks even. But that was, you know, the conditions will definitely play into that. And since it is a 2-day tournament, that shallow bite could come into effect for maybe a couple guys. And maybe 1 or 2 teams out of the top 10 finish shallow. But for a majority, I mean, I would go with the numbers and try to knock out that 15 to 18 pound bag fishing through, you know, 20 fish a day if you can.
And I mean, even if you have to get that 12, 13 pound bag early and run shallow and try to catch a couple big largemouth or stuff like that, there's definitely going to be some strategy put into it.
Yeah. And I mean, everyone pretty much knows Casey Ashley's spot. We're looking at it right now, but he fished that same spot for 3 days in a row, and on the 3rd day he caught 20-pound bag of largemouth. And so, you know, there's lots of fish out there in those deep places, so it can be one off a single spot. And I know several other guys caught, you know, some good bags out of, you know, one school or one ditch or, you know, one saddle. There's a lot of islands on this lake, and there's a lot of long tapering points and things like that. And so
And if you look at like the 2018 Classic, which is going to be a little bit more, I'd say it'll probably be a little bit more similar to how our tournament's going to set up. There were still a lot of guys fishing deep. I mean, Brent Ayler fished deep almost the whole time. Mm-hmm. I know he fished shallow a little bit the second day or the third day, and I mean Jordan Lee, he had a couple of really deep spots that really anchored his tournament.
Yeah, just playing numbers helps in any tournament. I mean, being able to catch a limit and then go chase whatever you want really helps. And you don't win very often if you don't have all the fish to fill your limit out.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be the number one important thing. But I think finding largemouth is going to be the key to that tournament. Finding numbers of largemouth, that is. Guys will pick off a couple, but finding numbers of largemouth, I think, is going to be how you win that one. So, anyway, we've been doing lots of kind of map study on Hartwell, trying to prepare for down there. And
yeah, I had a bunch of waypoints marked on Google Earth, and I just realized that those are all gone now. So I'm gonna have to go through and redo all those, I guess.
Get them just kind of deleted themselves. So
yeah.
if you do that, just
make
know
sure
that
you constantly save your waypoints on Google Earth.
Yeah, save them.
This is your one warning.
Yeah,
but
I've put a lot on here, and I would hate to lose them. So
yeah. But the 12-inch limit, I was kind of surprised by that.
Yeah, even for largemouth.
I figured it would be 12 for spots and 15 on largemouth, but 12-inch across. So that'll definitely. I think it'll
make it easier for guys to catch limits.
Yeah, more limits, but not necessarily big limits.
Right. Yep. So, anyway, that's like Hartwell. We have Grand the first week of March too, and it's kind of going through the same thing where it's completely frozen over, and I hope it's all unthawed by then. I mean, that's a whole week and a half, or not even a week and a half, a week and a couple days. 10 days away. So hopefully, I mean, the weather's calling for, next week. We got the highs are 47, 59, 54, and then mainly in the 40s. So hopefully we get some sun out that melts that ice and allows us to fish around here and fish Grand. I don't want it to get rescheduled or moved or anything, because that's the first big college tournament we've got to fish in our local area like that, a championship. And so really hope it stays on for that. It'll be pretty tough probably. Those fish will be lethargic, and if there's a shad kill going on, that's something that's really going to impact. Yeah. I mean, more than anything, this ice, what it's going to do is going to create a shad kill that makes it tough to catch fish. And so, what we've heard is that shad kill is something we need, especially here in the Ozarks, because it's been 3 or 4 years since we've had one, and it really thins out the shad. I mean, on Table Rock right now, you can go into a creek and see giant schools of unlimited shad pretty much.
Lake of the Ozarks last fall, I mean, anywhere in the back end of any large creek, it was just
packed.
You almost had to just walk on top of them to get to the back end of it.
Yeah, and I mean, crazy. When you find those areas, you got to leave.
Yeah, you'd think you'd see all that and be like, oh yeah, I'm definitely going to catch fish here, but it was almost, there was too many.
Past couple years, there's just been too many where if you find that, there's bass there.
Yeah.
But you can't catch them.
They just don't care that you're there.
Yeah, I mean, if you throw it doesn't matter what you throw, a jig and spoon, an underspin, a spinner bait at Lake of the Ozarks, they don't care about it. They got all these little real shad. They're not going to go out of their way to, get you a weird looking bait maybe, but it's hard to catch them. It's just hard to compete with all that live bait. Except if you're Cody Huff, then you know exactly what to do and catch them, because he won the Toyota Series on Table Rock fishing around bait, and he might have had that numbers deal figured out where he wasn't fishing around too much bait, but fishing around bass.
Found the right number of them.
I don't know.
I just realized this, but over the last 2 weeks, there have been 4 BFLs canceled.
Really? There's been 4?
Yeah.
Then because of this weather.
Yeah. Toledo Bend, which who'd have thought Toledo Bend was going to get canceled because of weather?
I mean, there's Texas lakes that are frozen. Lake Fork, Ray Roberts, where the Classic is going to be, they're completely frozen over.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. And, dude, you wouldn't expect that. That's got to be one of the first times that's happened.
Mississippi, they have lakes froze over.
That's
Ross
insane.
Barnett, yep. Wichita, it's not, 3 or 4 hours south of here.
Yeah, probably 4 or 5.
Yeah. And then Table Rock, obviously.
Yeah, so.
But
I don't know. I think Table Rock is our most fishable lake right now in our area, just because it's deep and clear, and so the water down below is recirculating enough, and that dirty water, it'll pass on that coldness quicker. It'll get cold deep quicker. That's why on Lake Ozarks that ice is so thick because
it's just shallow. The ground cools off. There's just not enough warmth there.
Yeah, but since this Table Rock water's clear, it kind of
deeper water, the warmer water starts to rise as the surface temperature cools off. So it just takes a lot longer for that cold water to freeze, I guess.
Yep. So I mean, it's a good thing that we aren't in December when this is happening, and we have a whole month and a half that's really tough at fishing. But we're close to that spawning point, or pre-spawn, so there might not be too much of a difficult phase in here. It will be difficult, and it might be good if the shad kill is just at a small amount. I think the fishing will be good because there won't be insane amounts.
Even if there is a big shad kill, it might be tough for a week or so, but once the days start getting longer and the water starts warming up, those fish are going to stop focusing on shad more and start moving up shallow. And so I think this was probably the ideal time for it to happen.
Yeah.
That way it didn't really kill the bite all winter long, and here in a couple weeks they'll be moving shallow and we'll be able to get back on them.
Right.
And then with the big shad kill, it'll just help the lake later in the summer and later in the fall next year. So like I said, I think this is probably, if it's going to happen, this is probably the ideal time for it to happen. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
And I think this kind of links to the problem that I've talked about before, which is the numbers that are in Table Rock right now. And, there's a lot of spotted bass, and it's hard to catch good-sized largemouth now. And, thinking that we have too many spotted bass, well, that could play into the numbers of shad that we have in the lake. And the past 2 or 3 years, we can have a lot of that smaller size shad that those 10 to 15-inch spotted bass can eat. And also what I think with that numbers deal that we're missing out on is because now that there's so much shad to eat out deep, it becomes more like a herring lake where those fish can stay out deep all year. So you take those largemouth that 4 or 5 years ago, they were hitting the bank pretty regularly for bluegill, crawfish, anything else fried that they want to eat. And now there's so much bait that they don't have to ever move shallow. So that makes for tougher fishing, and not as many people are catching them on the bank. So overall, it looks like the lake is worse than it was because of that, but it might just be because there's so many bait in the lake too. So
and I think because of the high number of spotted bass, the majority of people, they go to Table Rock and it's like, well, why would we go fish shallow or try to catch largemouth when we go out here and catch an armload of spotted bass? But so I feel like overall, there's probably still those big largemouth in there. They're just harder to find, and there's just a lot less people that are catching them because they're not really trying as hard.
Right. This winter, I've heard of, more than 10 6-pounders being caught 60 foot or deeper.
Right. The last time I was on Table Rock, which was almost 3 weeks ago now, but there was a tournament that went out of the ramp that I put in at, and I was back wanted to watch them weigh in, and the guys that won, they had 24 pounds of largemouth, and he said that every single one of them was 50 foot or deeper.
Yeah.
And so that's crazy.
That's difficult. That's really difficult. For one, to be able to hit a fish with your bait 50 foot down or 80 foot down, they have a lot of time to roam and move before your bait gets down there.
Right.
And those fish become harder to see on your electronics, and it's just not easy. That 40 foot range is not that bad, but when you get to 70 and 80 foot, it's really difficult to chase those fish on your electronics. And so Cody Huff is good at it because that's how deep he won. He won, he's catching his largemouth 80 foot deep.
Even those series. I don't think the fish themselves were that deep at Toledo, but he was fishing that deep.
Yeah, I was talking about Table Rock.
Right, he's just really good at finding those fish in open water and staying on them.
Yeah, but anyway, also the shad kill, if we get those numbers of shad out of the lake, it should, for the long run, make fishing better, because whenever summer fishing ledges, or even the late summer when you're fishing more for schooling fish or brush piles, there's not as much shad to compete with in the lake, so your bait stands out a little bit more. It'll be easier to catch numbers of fish. So for the long run, this is probably what we need, and that's what a lot of guys have been saying. It's going to help out our lakes in the long run, or help out fishing anyway. And so hopefully, I hope it does.
We'll be traveling starting next week, so I guess we won't really have to deal with the tough conditions right away.
No.
So
yeah, I'll be at Grand, so it'll be tough there, and they'll just be they'll just be thawing out. And I think that the key there is going to be finding clear water, because it's already a dirty lake, and we're going to have lots of snow runoff.
Oh yeah.
And so just finding that clear water is going to be really important, I think.
That might
because
be,
when the water is cold, when the water is 40 degrees, clear water is. I mean, you want to find the clearest water in the lake. I'm not saying 20-foot visibility, but you want to find, like grain, if it's a foot visibility and there's 5-foot visibility somewhere else, you want to go find that and fish it. And so,
although the weather, I mean, next week we're gonna have a couple days in the 60s, so
yeah,
if it stays like that, you might be able to find some of the dirty water that's warming up a little bit faster. But
maybe
we're gonna have to see.
It all depends on the conditions. It all depends on the conditions. So. Yeah, it's going to be tough for a while because of this ice, and it really sucks. I mean, it's been eating us alive to sit in here and not go fishing.
We've been watching a lot of fishing.
We've been watching all the fishing you can watch.
I don't know if I thought I'd ever say this, but I'm kind of tired of watching fishing.
Yeah,
I just want to go.
Yeah, it gets to a point where you just can't watch anymore. It hurts.
Yeah,
but we're excited to get going here soon, and like we said, we're glad that it's at the end of this winter and not the beginning. That way we can move into the pre-spawn, sooner than later and not have to ride this out forever. But yeah, we're kind of be sitting and waiting until our tournaments get going. But something we haven't talked about yet is the Bass Pro Shops U.S. Open National Bass Fishing Tournaments. And
that's
so
some big news.
That is some pretty big news. And it's a amateur-only trail. The championship pays out $1 million to first place. $1 million to the guys who win
for the championship.
Yeah,
so.
And you win a truck and boat too.
What did it say? 350 team championship.
Yep.
So a lot of competition, but big money on the line.
Yep. So there's 8 national tournaments around the country, and top 40 teams from each tournament advance to the championship. So that'll be 350 teams in the championship, and the championship is on Table Rock, which is, 350 boats on that lake is gonna make it tight.
Oh yeah.
It'll be a little crowded, but like I said, this is an amateur tournament, so guys from around the country can come and do this. And they also have 31 teams, boat dealer team trails. If you win the team trail, you get to fish the championship. That's if you're a White River Marine dealer, such as Nitro, Triton, and Ranger. And the 3 teams advance from the collegiate tournaments, so I'm guessing that's all the national championships, Bassmaster FLW, and then the Boat US ACA Collegiate Bass. So that's cool to give us an opportunity to advance. And I think the entry fee is $900 for those qualifying tournaments.
Which I think it's a little bit. I can pull this up right now. $450 a person, and you have to fish as a team. You can't fish solo.
Right.
But then children 12 to 17, $250, and then if you're fishing with someone under 12 years old, they're free. So
right.
I guess that's one way you could technically fish.
Right.
Alone.
So it's
But yeah, you have to have at least 2 people, or you have to have 2 people in the boat.
You can't fish this solo. They make you fish it with someone else, and even still $450 a person. That's kind of a steep entry fee for amateur tournaments.
And they haven't. I don't think they've released payouts for the qualifying tournaments yet, but I've heard that those are going to be pretty good in themselves.
Yeah.
So those should be. So you are getting the chance to fish for $1 million if you make it to the championship. But then whatever the purse is going to be at the qualifying tournaments, I'm sure those won't be light.
Right. The payouts are going to be great, but for amateurs around the country, you can't have paid more than $2,500 for an entry fee. You can't have won more than $100,000 in your career, and there was another requirement. But pretty much, you can't be a pro and fish this. You have to be an amateur, and that kind of helps to a lot of guys who want to get their careers going and gives them a chance to win some money.
I stand corrected. They have released the prizes for the qualifiers, $50,000.
To first place.
To first place for that. So you could potentially win $1 million in the championship and then another $50,000.
Yeah.
For the qualifier. Top 40 teams qualify for the championships.
And top 40 teams get paid out on that tournament.
What's crazy to me is they're giving away like 3 or 4 trucks and boat sets.
Yeah.
So that'll be really cool.
Yeah.
Tundras and Nitros.
Whoa. Look what that says. Break largemouth bass state record, $1 million cash.
Whoa. Where do you see that?
Right there at top. So if you break the state record in the tournament, you get paid $1 million.
Wow. I did not know that.
That's crazy. That's the first time I've seen that too.
$1,000 for the big bass, and they will mount it, and it'll just be displayed at your Bass Pro store. So that's pretty cool. They have special prizes for youth and junior anglers, along with family teams, females, veterans, military. So I guess you're the prize for the championship. Biggest bass wins a Z20. Every all-female team gets a weekend package at Big Cedar Lodge.
All right.
That's kind of cool.
Valued at $2,000.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
So so they have a big bass overall, and then they also have a big bass for the all-female team at the championship, along with a big bass for youth and junior anglers. That's pretty cool. Whoa, I didn't see this. Biggest bass by a family team, you get a tracker.
Off-road, side-by-side.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's cool.
So yeah,
there's some pretty cool stuff going on.
We could read through these for a while, but yeah. They have some awesome prizes. BassPro.com/US Open. You can go check those out for yourself.
Yeah, but I mean, I know that we'll definitely be fishing this because that's a lot of money opportunity. That's a lot of opportunity just to get out there and win some money. I mean, $1 million possibility. That's pretty cool.
That's life changing.
And it's really cool that it's an amateur tournament. So a lot of these big tournaments, we'll be honest, those pro guys dominate. I mean, they're professionals for a reason, and they win. And so it'll be cool to kind of level out the playing field for amateurs and
along with that,
college guys.
Along with that, like the pro guys in the Opens and the Toyota Series, but it'll kind of knock out some of those regional pros that have been doing it for forever.
Right.
So
yeah, I think it's really cool. There's a lot of prizes. There's a couple little things about it that, like the $900 entry fee for amateurs. Obviously, I think that the tournaments are going to fill up because there's 8 tournaments. There's 8 tournaments, and there's a 250 boat cap to each tournament.
Lottery pick. And like the registration, they've already done registration for the first 3. First one is March 13th, so that's coming right up weeks, in about a month or so. But the registration is only open for 24 hours. So you have to register, and then I guess since it's only a one-day registration, they're not really doing like a priority registration or early registration. Once you're in, if you're 251, you have the same chance of getting in that tournament as the guy who was first on the list. Yeah. So that's kind of cool.
And that's another way that they're evening out the playing field where anybody has the chance to do this. And, it's a really cool opportunity. And it gives us college guys kind of, something cool to do. And I know that we'll be trying to fish the Bull Shoals one. That's just kind of what we're most comfortable with. And there's also one on Grand Lake in October. So I've never been on Grand Lake. Well, I have once now for this tournament.
I guess we'll see how you do in the championship.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. I don't know if fish is really similar to Lake Ozarks, which is both of our home lakes. So I don't know. Bull Shoals, November 17th. I feel like we could get a top 40 finish there to be able to move on. I say that it's a one-day tournament, so
anything could happen.
Really. Anything could happen, really. But then the championship is a week after the Table Rock tournament or the Bull Shoals tournament. So Bull Shoals tournament happens the 17th.
It's 2 days after.
Yeah, and then the championship is November 19th through the 21st. So it's a 3-day tournament, and I don't know. I feel like that'll be.
I can't remember. If I'm not mistaken, the lake is off limits the whole week before that tournament.
Is it?
I don't know.
I hope it is.
There might be a practice day for the 18th, but I don't know that for a fact.
Well, I hope there's at least one practice day.
I'd have to look at the rules.
Yeah, if we had the opportunity, I think that we'd probably, if we fished it together, it'd be split in practice.
Yeah.
Before the Bull Shoals, if we could, to fish Table Rock and Bull Shoals at the same time. 3-day off limit. That's not
Monday
very long.
through Wednesday. That's for the qualifying event.
Same thing about the championship.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I don't know, but anyway, this championship is November 19th through the 21st, and I fished the Toyota Series that was there November 5th through the 7th, I think, and I finished 5th place, but I was definitely some good pounds behind the guys that finished first and second, which was Cody Huff and then another hammer that was fishing up the river, and he caught some big largemouth. But I don't know. I feel like we know the lake well and could have a decent finish on Table Rock, but I feel like I'd have to be doing something else to get those bigger bites that I was doing in the Toyota Series this November around. I mean, I caught 1 4-pound largemouth. My co-angler caught like a 3.5, but I mean, Cody Huff had 15 to 17 pounds every day, and I think that's what it's going to take to win that tournament. I was coming in with 12 pounds a day, so.
Doesn't say anything about it.
Doesn't say anything about it.
Not the championship practice,
So
I forget what I said about that.
But we could get some practice for that, the early month of November, whatnot. But
which I'd say the championship will probably set up similar to the Bull Shoals tournament. They kind of set up similar this time of year.
Yeah.
But what I'm looking forward to seeing is all the people that are going to be fishing out of their Mako ski boats and their Sun Tracker pontoons.
Yeah, because you can fish out of any boat that is made by a Bass Pro or White River Marine Group.
So that leaves Sun Tracker pontoons, Tahoes, Makos. So
yeah.
That'll be interesting to see how
many fish out of anything.
pontoons are going to be out there. That'll be fun.
I'd say a couple of them.
I'd say there will be more than one.
I mean, there's a big prize out there, so I'm sure a lot of guys will want to fish this. So really cool opportunity, and I know a lot of us college guys are going to be in it for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's pretty fun. I mean, that's kind of our only 2 lakes opportunity-wise to fish, or that I would want to be in.
Yeah, and you can only fish one.
Yeah, you can only fish
one qualifying event.
One qualifying event.
You can't. So if we fish Grand and we don't do good, that's done. We can't go to Bull Shoals and.
That's why we want to go to Bull Shoals and not Grand, because we've been on Bull Shoals quite a bit more than Grand Lake, and Bull Shoals November 17th. I think you go down the bank with depending on the conditions, you go down the bank fishing bushes, and you catch 15 pounds pretty easy, I think. Just fishing a crankbait. Dude, a crankbait's going to be a big player in that tournament, but, throwing a chatterbait, spinnerbait, topwater. There's so many bass in that lake, it's insane, so I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun opportunity to do, so. It's pretty cool that Bass Pro has created this, and
luckily Cody Huff is not an amateur, so we won't have to.
Luckily, he just moved on.
Yeah, we won't have to.
He wins all tournaments on Bull Shoals Lake.
We won't have to fight with him on that one.
Yeah. So. Yep, that's a pretty cool opportunity. So, got anything else you want to cover?
I don't know. I was gonna check the schedule for the MLF college tournaments, see what we have coming up. I think the next one is the championship. I don't know if there's one between there. Yeah.
No, there's not. Yeah, the championship's next.
Right after the championship is on Table Rock, so that'll be our tournament too.
March 26th. So, I think we have high expectations for that one.
Yeah. Last year we had one on Table Rock. It was March 5th, wasn't it?
This is first week of March. Yeah.
So we had one team that did really good, but the rest of us kind of flopped. So we're out for revenge after that one.
Yeah. I was kind of mad because like a week and a half before that tournament, I'd caught some good fish fishing up the river, and then my one of my cylinders went out in my motor, and so my boat was out for a couple months. So looking for some revenge on this one.
Yeah,
and that'll be a good bite. That'll be a really good bite.
That'll be a fun one.
March 26th, there's going to be a lot of fish up shallow to be caught in that pre-spawn mode.
There was a lot more fish up shallow last year than what I thought there would be.
The first week of March.
Like when we fished deep mainly the whole time, and then when we got to weigh-in and people were talking about how they're catching them, there was a lot of guys that said they were fishing shallow, which kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, what's crazy is I saw several 4 to 5 pound smallmouth calling a wigglewort. Most of them were calling a wigglewort.
Big smallmouth coming from shallow.
Yeah,
kind of wild.
There's some big smallmouth in Table Rock, and that is the time of year to catch them. When they're moving up shallow and pre-spawn, not quite to the spawn, because they'll kind of move out a little bit deeper to spawn in that 10 to 15 foot, but they'll get up there shallow.
It was 1 deep, wasn't it? Relatively.
I don't remember what the guys were doing, honestly.
I thought they were using a float and fly.
That was guys that got second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was sunny that day, and so it was calm and sunny, and so it made it tough throughout the day. And
now I gotta look.
Some northern guys caught them on a float and fly and got second. I don't remember how the guys won. You can look it up here real quick, but
I gotta find that.
Several weeks later this year, you'll be able to catch some deep, but having a tube for smallmouth, Ned rig for smallmouth, jerk bait targeting all 3 species, We'll be able to throw an Alabama rig, so that will be a player as well. Go up the river and throw a spinnerbait or chatterbait.
Of course, it doesn't say.
What was the weight that won?
18.5.
So second place was 18 as well.
Even, I think.
18. So 2 18-pound bags caught, and I think the weights will be better this year than last year. Don't you think?
Oh yeah, I 100%.
Because those bigger fish, I mean, those big females, that is, I mean, third week of March, that is the week that they move up.
And the largemouth will be moving up too.
That's what I mean. Those 5 and 6, 7 pound largemouth, that's when they get shallow. And, you know, it's hard to catch them when they're out there deep most of the year, but now that they're up shallow, this is the time to take hold of them. So there's going to be some guys that...
There's been 26, 27 pound bags weighed in that time of year.
Yeah, there has been.
Those college guys can catch them that good.
Yeah.
Just as good as the locals.
There'll be some guys that get lucky and catch a great big one and have a good bag. So it'll be difficult to win that tournament, I think.
Mixed bag?
Mixed bag.
Mixed bag. Yep.
It'll either be mixed bag with it could have a spotted bass in it.
I'd say it's going to be
smallmouth and largemouth.
It's either going to be all largemouth or
Yep.
smallmouth and largemouth.
Yep. And I mean the BFL last year in February, it was late February, and that's when guys were catching shallower on a jerkbait and stuff, and it was one with 2 largemouth and 3 smallmouth. There's some big smallmouth in that lake. So they'll definitely be a big player, but so is largemouth. I mean, that's just the biggest fish around here. It just is.
Plain as day.
Yep. So it'll come into play too. So I'm sure that we'll have more to talk about after we come back from Grain and Hartwell. We'll get to do recaps of those whatnot. So week and a half from now. But next week we're gonna have Stacy King on, and you know he's gonna talk about kind of what to do about this cold weather and how it's gonna affect the lake and whatnot. I mean, we kind of already talked about that, but I mean, take it from a local legend, and we'll get to see what he says.
He'll definitely have some good input on around here.
I think he knows what's going on around here. He has pretty good grasp of these Ozarks lakes. So we'll get to maybe preview a couple tournaments with him. I know he's done well on lots of clearwater fisheries around the country, Hartwell, Smith Lake.
He'll definitely be able to preview this Table Rock tournament for us.
Oh, yeah.
He'll definitely be able to give us some good insight on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah. Look forward to next week and having Stacy on, and please come back and check on that because it'll be a pretty good episode.
That'll be one you want to watch.
That'll be one you want to watch because he's going to give some good insight about this clearwater fishing. He's good at it. So
just fishing around here in general.
Yeah, he knows what to do.
So he'll probably be able to go a little bit deeper into Grand with Cole and going there, and he's had some success on Hartwell too. So
yeah, well, we can't talk about Grand anymore.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah, Grand is off limits now, so we can't talk about that. But talk to him after and see what I did wrong when I come back. Maybe he'll get to tell me about it then. But yeah, well, thank you for watching, and please come back for episode number 6 with Stacy King.
Pretty good one.
See you later.